You're listening to The Quad, a Killjoys podcast. My name is Annie.
And I'm Kris.
And I'm Stephanie. And in this episode, we are discussing the Season 4 premiere of Killjoys, Warrior Princess Bride. So there will be spoilers for that episode ahead.
Okay, let's get started with our reviews. For me, now that we're talking about it, I'm like, God, it's been forever since Season 3. So I wasn't sure how Season 4 was going to start, and I thought it was really interesting for basically the whole episode to be going into Johnny and Dutch's past. You know what? I friggin' loved it. I was so happy with this episode because anytime it's about Dutch and Johnny, they are the best platonic soulmates, non-lovers you could ever see. It's one of my favorite aspects of the show. So it never gets old seeing how their relationship developed. So I'm really wondering though, what was the purpose of Khlyen telling the story? And he kept telling Dutch to pay attention to details, and I'm really worried about her, and I don't know what the lady did to her, so I was kind of freaking out the whole time. And, yeah. And why is John so crucial? Although there were so many moments that made me just go, oh god, John Dutch. There were a lot of oh moments for me. But, when Khlyen is reminding her that he's, your North Star, and I was just like, oh god. But then I was very worried about what Khlyen said at the end, where he said, John will be the key, to basically, I don't know what, saving everything, it sounds like, I don't know. I'm like, please no self-sacrificing John this season, so. Anyway, but I loved it, so. What did you think, Kris?
that was a lot.
That was a lot.
I was going to say, I felt like I was watching a tennis match.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the show's back, okay?
I'm glad you're excited. I'm excited too. I've actually spent the last couple months, fitting in the past 2 seasons. I have watched the first season enough. I feel like that's sort of like embedded in my brain, and I watched it not that long ago. I've been rewatching the past couple seasons because I remember thinking during season 3, I didn't remember season 2 clearly enough. So I'm like, I'm going to be ready this time, and I'm probably still going to mess stuff up, and I'm sorry in advance, but I have been super psyched for this, because I don't know if you know this, guys, this show's real good. It is. And so, yeah, I have also been really excited. I have, I guess, kind of mixed feelings about season 4 opening up this way. I don't have a problem with it. I want to be clear about this. Like, I'm okay with this. I liked this episode a lot. But also, I kind of expected them to just jump right back in where season 3 left off. Because season 3 was such a cliffhanger. I distinctly remember Annie freaking out. Because Dutch was leaving. She was like, oh no. I think this is actually maybe a smart way to start season 4. I know that sounds counter to what I was just saying. But thinking about it, I think this is maybe a smart way to do it because they're not picking up immediately after the finale. Because I don't know, I expected them to, I guess, for some reason, which I should know better by now.
Yes, but, you should.
Yeah.
Because
they never have.
No,
they never have.
Haven't.
But I think it's just one of those things where, again, I was watching it like earlier this week. Watching them go into the green and going, no.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It's interesting. I like that we did get this way to sort of like ease back into the world of Killjoys. I think that's a smart decision. I also love the relationship between Dutch and Johnny, because who doesn't? Who is watching this show, right?
Yep.
And I don't know. I have so many questions, and I was happy to see everybody again and watch Dutch kick people in the face. Like she does. And that's enough rambling for me. Stephanie, what do you think?
Michelle of Reddit kept going, oh, look at all those high kicks in the previews. They look awesome. She was very excited about the high kicks.
I feel like I landed somewhere similar to where you did, Kris. I liked this episode a lot, but it was a surprising choice for a premiere. And I thought it was significant that We noted at the end of season 3 how each of the seasons had kind of ended with a similar element to it, where at the end of season 1, you have, oh no, Davin separated from the group. How are they going to go get Davin back? Into season 2, you have Johnny separated from the group, like, oh no, how are they going to reunite? And in season 3, they had Dutch going into the green space with Anila, and we're thinking like, oh no, how are they going to get back together? But previously, those sort of reunifications happen kind of quickly. And so I actually kind of like that this first episode doesn't have that resolved really at all. You know, at the end, you're just still thinking, I'm still just very worried about Dutch here. What is happening? So,
hence my mixed feelings about the episode. It was good, but I'm worried.
Right.
Yeah.
And something that I thought that was really cool about the way that this episode was structured. I'm not always a huge fan of flashback episodes, but I thought that the way that this was done was neat because it really was like kind of a having their cake and eating it too moment, because we have elements furthering the more complicated plot line of like the green and the mythology and that sort of stuff in this episode. But the core of it was this really season 1 type episode where there's this caper and it's all about, you know, the emotional connection between Dutch and Johnny and furthering sort of their backstory and building the world that kind of existed before this more complicated stuff with the green and Anila and that sort of stuff was introduced. So it was kind of nice. It was like, yes, we're in season 4 and there's elements of that, but I also felt like I was transported back to the simpler days of season 1 in the same episode.
When it was just a matter of an assassin being on a mission with her thief friend.
Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid arrest and death.
But there were definitely, you know, moments in the episode that felt, I don't know if they were necessarily supposed to be direct callbacks to the first season, but like when she was kind of sexy assaulting that guy, trying to figure out if he was armed and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It did remind me a lot of, I think it was episode 3 of season 1, The Harvest, where she was seducing that guy and ended up knocking him out. But anyway, it was a really fun episode and a very like emotionally significant one at the same time. But again, kind of an interesting choice for a premiere. And I'm very curious about how it's going to play out with the arc of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's also smart because it is all about reinforcing the importance of Dutch and Johnny's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's Khlyen telling Dutch and by extension the audience, obviously, this is what's important. This relationship is important. It literally ends with something along the lines of Johnny Jacoby's going to save us.
Mm-hmm.
Which
worried. Makes me worried.
I have some mixed feelings about that also, but I feel like it's really going to be about ultimately Dutch and Johnny's relationship saving the universe or whatever. We should rename the podcast The Universe or whatever.
I agree with you guys. I think that I really like the emotional resonance of this episode, because if you'd done this type of episode even last year or the year before, it wouldn't have had as much, I think, emotional impact, or just, you know, we keep punching you in the heart kind of feels, because we love these characters so much and their relationship so much. So to see the beginning of it and how when Dutch said, you know, when she trapped Johnny in Lucy's like kitchen area or whatever, and she said, you know, the people that get close to me always get hurt. I was like, oh my God, but it's Johnny. So it just, the fact that they hadn't built up that trust yet, and to see the beginning of that, and also to see it between John and Lucy which was really fun. But
you're a failure.
Yeah. Are you dead yet? So, but, again, I think it's so impactful having this episode air now at the beginning of a season when the audience already has such an emotional connection to Dutch and Johnny. But yeah, I do think it was an interesting choice to start off this way, but I think it's awesome because it's what we've come to expect from this show. They're not going to necessarily spoon feed you going, okay, this is what's happening next, and we're picking up right where we left off. It's just in the middle, and I'm really surprised that it kind of showed them so much in the green, because I kind of thought it would the season would start and, Dutch would instantly be out of the green and with Anila, and they'd figure something else out in the real world. And yeah, so the fact that it just kind of starts in the middle of everything raises a lot of questions. But again, I like it because it means that the writers, they don't, underestimate their audience. They know, we're smart, we'll figure it out. But I love that. They don't just, they leave a lot of stuff hanging so that we still keep getting drawn in, going, what's going on?
Except, will we figure it out? Because this is the show that's like, oh, by the way, Dutch is a memory.
That's true. Made from the metachlorines. I know I said that wrong. Wait, did I say it wrong again?
Midi-chlorians.
Dang it! Okay, the green. Just so simpler. But that's all I kept thinking was the midi-chlorian thingies.
I mean, that's not what they are anyway. Don't besmirch the green like that.
Yeah, I know. But there was a parallel thought there, so.
It was interesting to have a season premiere where we didn't see all of our main cast, because that's something I think I come to expect from premieres. It's kind of like showing us where everybody is. And so the fact that this was missing Davin in particular, again, made me think this is kind of an interesting choice for a season premiere. I miss Davin. I miss the fact that Delsea wasn't around. I haven't gotten quite as attached to the other. Well, I would have liked to have seen Fancy probably, but especially Davin, especially Delsea. I was like, oh, I'm desperate to see them now, which is maybe what they were going for, in which case, good job.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's going to be sort of an extra relief when we see them, presumably next episode, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Because, they're in peril too. Last we saw them.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, oh God, I'm going to use the phrase that I hate. Bold choice. No, okay, yeah, let's just scratch that. I hate that phrase. But I thought it was a really different thing for a show to do. It's like you're missing one of your leads the whole episode. And
a daring choice? How about that?
A daring do choice, yes. Because, I was like, where's Dav? Where's Luke McFarlane's cute face? So.
But it did really focus us back onto Dutch and Johnny's relationship, and it sounds like they're going to make that pretty central to the season, as it has been to the show the entire time. But it caused us to focus on Dutch and Johnny. I thought it was good that we saw a little bit of stuff going on in the green, because we get to see that interesting dynamic between Khlyen and Anila. We don't really know what's going on in the green space, but we at least got introduced to it. So, it would have been another kind of unusual choice had it not even linked to the present at all, which they could have done. They could have just done an entire flashback episode with Dutch and Johnny meeting. But I liked how they used and it links back to the title of this episode, they used the Princess Bride frame of a guy telling a sick kid a story to structure the flashbacks of the episode, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I somehow didn't even think about that, and you're absolutely right, and I love it.
That is awesome.
I picked up on something that you didn't? Oh my gosh!
It happens.
Chris is like,
let's not talk about how frequently it happens, but yes, it happens. I will admit to that much.
But like you were saying, Annie, you mentioned the stuff between Johnny and Lucy. And again, harkening back to season 1 for me, it really highlighting that relationship in a way that it hadn't been as much in seasons 2 and 3, it felt like. Or at least season 3. And then getting to see that moment where he threatens her to a certain extent, but that moment where he lets her make the decision to trust him, I thought was a very interesting one to make for the writers. And I think it actually helps you understand maybe why Lucy so much loves Johnny, is he doesn't just treat her like another machine. Or he treats her like a machine, but with respect.
Yeah.
Well, I like that we kind of, even before that, get hints that Lucy is curious about him.
Right.
For whatever reasons. And that he then sort of proves himself worthy of that interest by being like, by reasoning with her, by talking to her like she's a person.
Yeah. But also phrasing it in a way so that as a machine, she could figure it out. He's like, well, look at this. Have I ever hurt her? Have I ever given a reason to not trust me? And it's very like, simple, logical, yes or no answers. So, but then he's like, well, you decide. But then I still love how he has that line, oh, I could sell you on the black market and just, my problems will be over, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, oh, Johnny, Lucy. So it just made me so happy. And I have to say, maybe it was just me because I was so happy to see the show on again, but I swear, every year, the special effects that show Lucy, going through the quad and flying around, I swear, every year. And maybe it's just because I love Lucy and Tamsin McDonough so much, but I was like, wow, she looks so pretty. Every year she looks better. So that was just very pretty and shiny Lucy, made me happy.
Well, she was technically 7 years younger, so maybe that has something to do with
That's true.
I'm kidding, Lucy. I'm kidding. You still look great.
Not a ding on you. Yeah.
I mean, they probably have flown through fewer asteroid fields, so.
Yes, true.
Mm-hmm. But no, Lucy still looks great today.
How do we, I have a question for you. How do we feel about the, retro futuristic title cards that are 7 years ago?
I'm just laughing at Stephanie's groans.
I mean, that sort of thing is in now, right? With Thor Ragnarok and stuff, I think was doing that, right?
No. The thing that I had an issue with, I'm all, please don't let this become permanent, was the dramatic pause and dun 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 and the green tinted freeze frames. Yes, tinted green, of course.
I turned going the closed captioning off when I was rewatching, while I was, trying to make notes and stuff. It would have a parenthetical dramatic noise.
Yeah.
Or dramatic sound. I can't remember if it was sound or noise. Yeah. Either way, dramatic.
And I'm like, please don't let Killjoys go on this NCIS bent. I'm like, no, I couldn't deal. But I didn't care about the titles as much as Stephanie did, obviously.
It's something...
I'm not surprised that Stephanie hated it.
Well, it's something minor that doesn't matter, but no, I did not like them.
I mean, I will give you this. It is jarring because it is not something we have ever seen on this show before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just doesn't fit the aesthetic of the show for me. It's a little cheesy. I don't know. And...
See, I say that about those dramatic pauses and
sure,
freeze
I
frames.
didn't love those, and I got a little confused because the first time it happened, it cut to Dutch in the green and Khlyen talking to her, and so whenever it would happen again, I kept thinking it would cut to Dutch and then it would cut to commercial, and so I don't know, it was used a little unevenly for me in this episode.
Yeah, and the first time it cut to commercial, I was like, oh no, I do not like this. Anyway.
Those are minor complaints, though. Minor complaints.
Minor complaints, yes.
I'm sorry I opened up the can of worms. I just... They were being so obvious about the things. I felt like maybe we should, address them. Address the elephant in the room.
We would like to remain pretty much positive on this podcast. So those really were my biggest complaints about this episode.
Yeah, honestly.
Somebody's like, screw you, Kris.
I also really loved that we got to see a couple of characters who we haven't seen since season 1. We got Hill's back.
Yay!
They also brought back Big Joe. And we had the sense in the first season that Dutch was really fond of him and had a lot of emotional connection to him. So I actually did enjoy getting to see them connect and what caused her to form that bond with him, since she clearly cared about him a whole lot.
Yeah.
And he was kind of presented as a counterpoint to Khlyen in that, here's another father figure, mentor type. But this one she actually likes.
Yeah. But of course, it seems with everybody, the intro has to be, she always shoots him first.
Well, that's how Dutch makes friends.
Exactly.
If they survive the shooting, then there's a chance at a real friendship there.
I mean, if they can get over that, they can get over anything. Friends for life.
Yep.
Right, Stephanie?
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of friends, I really like that this is why they're friends with Pri, because he just gave him drinks on the house, and he goes, oh, honey, your faces told me. And I have to say, I saw the stash and I was like, oh my god, I love it. That was just me. And then later, of course, when he doesn't have it, I'm all, oh, that's so pretty. So
I loved his ever-evolving facial hair. That was great.
Mm-hmm. And the sparkly eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That is something else, sparkly eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, we do have to talk about the facial hair, but then, I should have known that Annie would just bring it up. Because it is something else. It's not as much as the eyebrows, but the whole thing, quite a look. It's a look.
Something that was significant to me while I was watching those scenes with Johnny and Pri, and Dutch was there too, but it was Pri being very obviously flirty with Johnny. And I just love that Johnny's complete lack of reaction to it. It's so refreshing, because usually when you see on TV shows where a very clearly gay man flirts with a man who's probably straight, I guess we don't know for sure with Johnny, but we've only seen him sort of express interest in women. There's usually this like awkward discomfort thing and coming from, what would be Johnny's side of the equation. But Johnny just is like, has no reaction to it. It's just a thing that this guy said, like, any other type of conversation. And it just kind of makes me happy that there's not this homophobic vibe to those interactions.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, if you recall, there's a scene in a previous episode where they're trying to essentially seduce some guy into cooperating with them. Because Dutch goes first, no reaction.
Oh, yeah.
So Johnny goes and Johnny tries, and Johnny was just like offended, I think. Uh-huh. So I was going to say, I feel like if anything, Johnny would be offended that Pri didn't flirt with him.
he knows the power of those blue eyes.
But it's completely in line with what we've seen from the show before. But again, the show's been off the air for a while, so watching it just stood out to me. I was like, oh my gosh, Johnny doesn't like freak out that Pri is this man that he just met is flirting with him. I love it.
It is nice to see.
Yeah. I just like the flirting itself. It just tickled me pink because that's how much I love Pri. So it was nice to see him again.
I was really surprised that we didn't have some point where Pri made some sort of comment to the both of them about starting a fight in his bar. I was waiting for him to have a good line about that, but he didn't really comment later on, it seemed like. When he was
It's Westerly, he's used to it.
Exactly. That's like the fifth fight that day.
I was going to say.
Fine. I don't know. I felt like Pri would have something to say about it, but you make a good point. He probably sees quite a few.
As long as they're not disrupting the bar itself
and
the booze, it's probably fine.
And Johnny did yell for them to tip the bartender as he walked out of the bar. So,
that's true.
It's true.
That eases all ills.
Oh, one last thought about physical looks of people. on this
okay. Only one?
Oh, only one. Okay, well, it looked to me like Johnny's guy liner got thicker as the episode went on, but maybe it just ran because it was a really stressful day and,
I was going to say.
Yeah, it was, I thought it was hilarious. So
it did look a little smudged at times. I just kind of figured maybe he rubbed his eye or something.
But I would like to know what Lucy prefers, with guy liner or no guy liner. So.
I prefer no guy liner personally.
I'm glad that
But is your name Lucy, Stephanie?
No. But I'm glad that he moved on from kind of his punk rock phase.
Yeah, me too. But that's how we know we're in flashback mode,
It's true. And he was talking about how good he would look in a uniform. There's probably some guideline against guy liner.
Mm-hmm.
A guy line? Never mind.
A guy liner guideline?
Yes, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So
a guy liner line? It's hard to portmanteau. I think it's funny as a guy liner guideline.
It's true.
I will say that I thought that this episode, at least for me, it helped bridge the flashback that we'd seen previously when Dutch and Johnny first meet to where we've seen their relationship be it starting with like season 1. Because, Johnny was such a confident little jerky face thief, the first in that flashback where they meet. And it didn't, I don't know, it felt a little bit like they were trying to assert like, oh, look how different they both were. And this helped me to like connect the dots between that Johnny that we see and the Johnny that we see through most of the series.
Right, because it does feel a little bit like, okay, but why would this guy stay with this woman?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like, you can get there, but it is nice to see it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they set up the sort of like, okay, well, let's give it a try. We'll do 2 years and reassess the situation.
Mm-hmm. But I loved all the reasons. I loved Dutch's journey throughout this episode, where it shows all her reasons why she thinks Johnny is so important in her life. She puts him first. She says, well, you know, the release is only for you, not me. And I'm like, oh my God, she's putting Johnny first. And, you know, she loves him so much, but she just can't admit it to herself. And then at the end, you know, when she was about to torture the other assassin, and she was like, well, Johnny was my chance. And again, I was like, oh, so many times during this episode, I was just like, oh, Dutch, oh, Johnny. Yeah, it's very emotional.
Yeah, it was both Dutch seeing how good Johnny is and his promise to her, and his promise of sort of a new life to her, but also just feeling so terrible about herself, just thinking that she doesn't deserve to go forward into this new second chance with Johnny. Yeah, it was both of those things, which are both heartbreaking.
Yeah.
There is a lot of Dutch's self-sacrificing guilt in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I did also enjoy the scene where, actually there were a couple different scenes where Johnny's just kind of like, you know, how are you doing this?
Yeah, I know.
And Dutch has the line, Princess Self-Defense Class, it was a rough kingdom.
I love that one.
And that weird joke, which made me laugh probably maybe more than it should, of the guy named Ian wearing a shirt that said Larry. I don't know why.
Yeah,
that just
I'm like,
cracked me up.
I don't get it.
That was amazing, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And Johnny just completely disgusting Johnny, like, I hate this place. Got these jerk people who wear the wrong names on their shirts.
And then I love Dutch's criticism of, she's like, are you wearing that? He's like, well, what? I didn't have time. She's like, oh, fine. Oh, this is the worst thing ever. I already want to fake divorce you.
I thought Johnny looked fine.
I thought he
personally.
looked great. Yeah.
I wanted to hear Dutch's actual critiques of that outfit, because I thought he looked great. Maybe the ascot was a little much, but otherwise, I thought he looked great. Or
Yeah,
not
but
the ascot, the handkerchief, like in the pocket square. I don't know what you call that thing.
Yeah.
The
Pocket square, yeah.
Yeah.
But it came in handy when she had to tie it around the assassin's hand. So
Yes.
you know,
Yes. It was useful, even if it was not fashionable to Dutch's very refined tastes, I guess.
You're
I
refined.
was going to say, if we've learned anything from the past 3 seasons of this show, it's that this particular area, perhaps the J, I don't know, has a very distinct fashion sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I could see how maybe what Johnny's wearing wouldn't fit in with that aesthetic that they're going for.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of aesthetics, sorry.
I was going to
go
say
ahead.
Dutch's dress, though, right?
Oh my.
Oh, when she, interrupted all the other people and was going for the first guy that they thought was the mark. And she goes, I'm jumping the queue hard. And I'm like, please, Dutch, jump in my queue anytime, please. I was like, oh, so
you are
sexy.
one of the other people with the little bracelet then, and like repeatedly hitting the little button, right? Ding, 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 ding.
But
Johnny, I'm standing right here.
and then the other euphemism, lady platter? Okay.
Oh, and I feel like we have to mention that a dildo was used as a
I see,
weapon
because
in
I
this
was
episode.
tweeting the first time, I did not catch that until the second viewing, and Johnny's all gross, and I just got laughing. And then there was a tweet that Michelle Lovretta tweeted later. She goes, yeah, we bought so many shiny, sex toys and stuff, but they didn't all clear. So, production.
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean, I feel grateful that they let the one dildo be in the episode.
Standards and practices was kind of like, this one looks innocuous enough. It could be anything. It could be a what?
It looked like
No,
a
go
little
ahead.
barbell or something, kind of.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Oh, like a dumbbell, you mean?
Yeah, dumbbell. So.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you really wanted a dildo as a weapon, there are way better dildos that would be a weapon than that one.
I love that is your critique.
This close to beer shooting out my nose. Thank you, Stephanie. Warda girl.
It was a little small, is all I'm saying.
That's true. Only hand-sized. Just one fist-sized.
This is probably why it managed to clear
clear.
standards and
Exactly.
practices.
Exactly.
True.
They're probably like, this is cute enough. It probably won't offend too many people. It's cute and blue. I mean,
And again, I mistook it for like a barbell, so.
Dumbbell.
A dumbbell.
I feel like
I mean, aside from like
barbells-
the gross and double gross line and his what is it, a handful of vibrations or whatever it says, he says. Aside from those lines, like, it's innocuous looking enough that you wouldn't necessarily know if you're not paying attention.
True. Well, I have to.
But I also love the casual way he was sitting in that, like, sex chair with all of the
I didn't
bondage
catch that until the
toys.
second time. I'm all, wait, what is he sitting in? What has production been doing?
Oh, sweet innocent Annie.
Well, no, again, I was live tweeting, so I missed a lot the first time, so. Anyway. But I really love the dance scene with Johnny and Dutch, and I wonder how many dance lessons that took for Aaron and Hannah Junkonen.
Yeah, I know Hannah has a dance background.
Yeah,
but I don't know
yeah.
about Aaron. Yeah.
But they looked really good, so.
Yep.
I laughed really hard when she dropped him. I'm sorry, Johnny, but I laughed really hard.
Me too. Oh, while we're talking about hilarious things, Dutch totally scanned that assassin with a barcode scanner.
That I didn't see.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is she looking for
like,
a QR
that's
code?
kind of like the
What
one
is
I have
happening?
at work.
Actually, that type of bar scanner wouldn't even pick up a QR code. It would only pick up a 2D barcode. That is a limited scanner.
But she found the antidote, so clearly it worked.
Yes. Yeah. You need to stop putting 2D barcodes on your poison antidotes, assassins. I thought that scene between Dutch and the assassin,
I mean, she is the other assassin.
I know. But I thought that scene between the
Thematically, it was important, Stephanie.
Yeah. I thought that scene between the two of them was really great, and of course with Johnny coming in and stopping the whole thing. It was definitely, the episode built toward it really well, and it was a very satisfying kind of climax to the whole situation.
Yeah. And then for me, again, so many feels, but the one that really got me at the end, when Johnny called her Duchess. And I was like, oh my god, because I've always wanted to know where the name Dutch came from. And
After calling her Queenie the whole episode.
Yeah. But I was just like, it's so perfect that it came from him, and I just was like, oh. So, I also really liked the song used in that scene. Yeah, the music was great, again.
It always is.
Props
I've been
to
listening
Andrea
to that
Higgins'
playlist too.
genius, yes. But that song at the end was called Dead of Night by Ruel. And then I was really happy there was another Cave Boys song in this episode, which I only just found out when I was looking at the music list, because Love Song from Cave Boy, from season 1, one of my absolute favorite songs I've ever heard on a TV show. So, yes, yay for Andrea Higgins' brilliance again.
There's one last thing I specifically wanted to talk about.
Go ahead, Kris. Wrap it up.
I hate to bring us down after all the laughing.
That's okay.
But we need to go back to the greenspace. And so Khlyen says, when it reaches your mind, she'll know everything. And I'm like, okay, they're talking about the lady. The lady will know everything. And that seems to be the big thing that they're concerned about. But like, what do we think is significant about the lady knowing?
Well, and then Khlyen says, well, it doesn't matter what, if she's going to break, but when. So he told her this whole story to prepare her. And I'm like, what? Yeah. What is it about Johnny and Dutch's relationship that's so important with this plot with the lady?
I believe what the whole the lady will know everything, that is in reference to what they were trying to hide from her all those years by taking out Anila's memories, is that Anila was able to pull Dutch out of the green. And that's what they've been trying to hide from her, because she's trapped in the green right now and relatively easily evadable when she's trapped in the green. But when she figures out it's possible to leave there, that's when she becomes a real danger. So that's what I thought that was in reference to.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought she already knew.
Because, I thought that was her goal, last year, was to work towards leaving the green.
Well, that's her goal, but they were trying to hide the fact that Anila had done it successfully from the lady.
Oh.
Had pulled something from the green successfully, I mean.
But I thought that memory already got put into the green at the end of season 3.
I don't know.
Okay.
That is still unclear to me. That is what I would assume, since they stepped into the green at the end of season 3, but that's the only thing I can think of that they're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be something that we have yet to learn.
I still have to say, Anila pulling Dutch out of her memories is the most mind-fracking plot point I've ever seen in recent genre television. I still can't wrap my head around it. She came from what? So. So, yeah, I still am a little hazy on all what the green means and everything some days, so. Because I haven't gone back and rewatched as much as you guys have. So, you guys are going to have to remind me through this season.
I have to keep reminding myself that we're only just past halfway through the series.
Mm-hmm.
Because I find myself getting impatient to know things, and I'm like, calm down, Kris.
Yeah.
We're just past the halfway point. There's 20 episodes left, or 19 at this point. I'm excited.
But that's part of the tension of that ending, right? Because we see those green, creepy, veiny lines inching up Dutch's face and heading toward her mind, and that's what they were trying to avoid. But it sounded like, from that conversation between Khlyen and Anila that you referenced, Annie, they figured it would happen eventually, is what I kind of got out of it. So yeah, the green space stuff, I think, invites way more questions than it offered answers, which is, I think, kind of typical for for at least premiere episodes of Killjoys.
I was going to say, it's a season premiere. That's what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, one thing that I forgot about when everybody's in the green is how they've all
switched color palettes.
Switched color palettes and have gone to mind-bendingly platinum blonde. So, in Dutch's
they switched
case,
color palettes.
I know, but it's just like, so. But it was very, very...
It is a nice visual cue, though, because when I saw that great opening shot of Khlyen carrying Dutch through the woodsy area, I knew it was Dutch. It's like, oh, she's in white, it's Dutch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And with the really harsh green filter on those scenes, the fact that they have very light blonde hair instead of black hair, I think works better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was very, very happy. It's so ingenious how they've written characters in through a flashback or through the green to have Khlyen back. So I love that he's still written in there.
Okay, can we go back to the thing with Johnny and Dutch breaking and all this? Because I feel like this is what it is. They know that she's going to confront the lady.
Mm-hmm.
And that, there's this concern about what the lady is going to do to Dutch's mind.
Sorry.
And so I think that's why Khlyen is emphasizing how important Johnny is to Dutch. So remember, there's that line from last season about Johnny being, or maybe it's the season before, about Johnny being her gravity, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then in this episode, Khlyen calling Johnny her true north, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this concept that Johnny is a grounding, guiding force for Dutch. So I think maybe that's what it's going to be, is that Khlyen is maybe concerned that Dutch is going to lose her sanity the way that Anila did.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so maybe this is supposed to be, okay, hold on to this, focus on this, and this will get you through it.
Yeah, so that when the lady makes you lose your mind, you still have a touchstone to go back to.
Right. All is not lost.
Yeah, but again, that line at the end, the Khlyen says, a thief who is about to save us all. Well, what does that mean in relation to Johnny? Is he like, again, it sounds very dire. So that has me worried.
Dutch losing her mind and the world succumbing, or the universe succumbing to the Khlyen is pretty dire, Annie.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just like, I'm worried about Johnny with that line. Like,
why?
I don't know, because it just sounds like he's going to be the key somehow to, the universe is going to go to crap, unless Johnny sacrifices himself for Dutch sacrifices
That's not what
him.
that's implying. He's
I know.
going to save them.
I know. Well, save him how? I don't know. I just was putting like worst case scenario, so.
But that is the cap on an episode about how important Johnny is to Dutch. Johnny and their relationship is to Dutch. So I think that's what it's going to be about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for making
I hope that's what it's going to be about.
Thank you for making me worry less, slightly.
Well, I just feel like if it is Johnny himself, that takes away a lot from the series as we've had to this point.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because, like, Dutch is the central figure of this show.
True.
I mean, I know it's about the three of them, but, Dutch is the face of the show, right? I think it would be a little weird if it's suddenly like, oh no, Johnny is the chosen one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I trust Lovretta to not do that.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's more about their relationship as opposed to him.
Again, is my hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not involved with the production of the show. I can't see the future.
To let you know what's going on our other podcasts, on our multi-fandom podcast called Finalysis, we have done an episode discussing the first season of the terrific CW show Black Lightning. It's not currently available on feeds, but it might be of this episode. We'll see. We're getting it edited as we record this, so hopefully it should be available to download and listen to soon. So go check that out on our podcast Finalysis, which you can find over on our website, askgenretv.com/fan. It's also available to download wherever you listen to podcasts.
So we'd love to hear your thoughts about this episode of Killjoys. You can send them to us at killjoys@askgenretv.com. We love getting voice messages, which you can send to us in a couple of ways. You can record a voice memo on your smartphone and email it to us, or call our listener voicemail line at 972-514-7223. And we're also on Twitter and Tumblr at Killjoys Podcast.
The Quad is part of the Ask Genre TV family of podcasts. To find our other podcasts about Lost Girl, Orphan Black, and other shows, visit our website, askgenretv.com.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the Quad.